What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comically Boston. My name is Big Cam, and today I am breaking down the 2-episode finale of Agatha All Along. And this show has been awesome and so much fun to cover here on the channel. If you guys have been enjoying the videos, please like the videos, go check them out. Leave a comment down in the comment section below and chat with me. What was your favorite episode? What was your favorite part of this show? Or did you just love the show in general? Like me, I enjoyed this week to week, joining the covens. And honestly, I think last week, episode 7 was like the high point of the series for me. But I thought episode 8 was phenomenal. And then it felt like episode 8 was the end. And then episode 9 was like an epilogue. So like, I'm very cool with that. They were both good. But I think Lilia's episode 7 was by far the craziest, best episode of the season. And of course, coming off of that episode, Lilia being the GOAT, saving the coven. But she can only do so much because we still have lost Mrs. Hart, Alice, and of course now Lilia. So only Jen, Billy, and Agatha remain. And of course Rio, that we found out is Death. And Rio as Death is so perfect. Aubrey Plaza as the character Death and how her looks are, right? Because they keep changing her looks. So she appears like this sometimes. She appears like that sometimes. She appears like this, so various different ways that Death can look. They nailed it. The casting of Aubrey Plaza is so good. Like, I almost hope that they bring her back into other things. Like, I almost would love, like, every time a character dies, we get, like, an Aubrey Plaza cameo, the same way that we would get, like, a Stan Lee cameo. Someone's dead, and she's just kind of like, oh, hey, girl, you dead, like, just, being funny, but, like, I'll take you to the afterlife, come on, like, or wherever they go after, because we didn't really see where Aubrey, or Rio takes them after they die. We just know that she is Death, and she's collecting those bodies. All roads lead to death, which is fact. But let's get into it here. The 2-episode finale is now streaming on Disney+, so go check out all these episodes and then come watch my breakdowns and let me know how you think I did. But episode 8 is titled Follow Me, My Friend, to Glory at the End. So, of course, just like all the other titles, this is still the lyrics from the Ballad of the Witch's Road. And we open this episode on Alice. What? We were all kind of like, what the hell is this? Alice wakes up and sees Death, of course. Rio touches her face and she wakes up and she goes, it's time to go. And Alice sees her own dead body on the floor and goes, that's it? That's all the time I've got? And Rio, Death, standing there goes, oh, the amount of times I've heard that. And Rio says to Alice, you're the protection witch, right? You died protecting someone. And then she goes, you ready? And Alice is like, no. And then we see them walk through a door and it kind of just disappears. And this is the last we see of Alice. But we know that that dead body was still on the ground. But the soul of Alice still looks like Alice and just walks into the afterlife with Rio. So, I don't know. I think there's still a slight, minuscule chance that if they wanted to bring back these characters, they could go to the afterlife or hell or wherever, get these people back, like, why not? Like I said, though, I think mostly unlikely. But then we cut to the title of the episode, and it's much darker when you think of it as to glory at the end, as all roads lead to death, and it's Rio's perspective saying, follow me, my friend, to glory at the end. Although it's, not necessarily a friend, it's this dark figure going, hey, follow me, it's glory over here, come to my van, nice candy. But it's really like, hey, you're gonna die as soon as you come with me, come on, like, whoa. But let's be real, if Aubrey Plaza was asking any of us to go anywhere, we're all dead, we're all following her into the abyss. So we cut to Jen immediately after that episode 7 ending, when Lilia shut the doors on her and Jen's banging on the door and she's like, Lilia saved us. And Rio sees Agatha and she's like, your coven is getting smaller. And Rio says Billy is an abomination. He's disrupting the sacred balance just by being alive in another body. So this is why Rio is here. She's upset that Billy Maximoff died instead of coming to her in the afterlife slipped into another body. And she's like, listen, I know he did that. I can't allow him to take a second body now for his brother, Tommy. So maybe foreshadowing a future here where Tommy's going to come back the same way Billy did by, you know, just dragging that soul into another body that's nearby, you know. And Rio says to Agatha, you have been getting special treatment for far too long. And she goes, you call what you did special treatment? And we find out what that special treatment really means in the episode 9, which I feel like is more of an epilogue, but still episode 9, the finale. And then Rio says to Agatha, why do you let them believe those things about you, about Nikki? Meaning, oh, so Rio knows that Nikki wasn't traded for the Darkhold or whatever, you know, that, and Agatha lets people think this. And Agatha goes, maybe it's better than knowing the truth. So then we cut over to Jen and Billy talking, and she's like, Rio, the Green Witch with the capital G in the green, she told us who she was at the beginning, right? And that was very true. She came out of the dirt, and they're like, yeah, so who are you? And you're a Green Witch? More, not a Green Witch, more the Green Witch, right? Like, the Green Witch, the original Green Witch, a.k.a. Death, right? Like, so Rio wasn't lying from the beginning, and she looked like a character that maybe was Death in the beginning, so, oh boy. And then we hear them say, so Agatha's ex is Death? Where is Agatha? And then we cut to Agatha talking to Rio, and Rio saying, Billy stole a second life. I can't let him do another for his brother. And Rio wants Billy to turn himself in. Agatha says she can arrange that in exchange for Rio, if you let me go. And Rio's like, you will eventually die, but I want you to stop pursuing me. When I die in a long, long time from now, I do not want to see your face. And she says, okay. And she turns around and walks through, like, walks up to, like, the woods, right? And you think she's just going to keep walking through the woods, and cuts through reality with her knife and walks through it, which is a great way to just use a practical set, but also just like to show the immense power of this character, that she can just, oh, this reality you think is the road, cut this and just walk through it and just peace. Okay. The only thing I wish about that shot is at the end when she walks through, if it's sealed up, like, you know, they would have had to do some CGI where that shot, I think, was entirely in camera, which is just cool because that just means that the visual effects for this episode didn't have to go to a shot like this. But if it's sealed up behind her and just looked like the woods again, it would have been really crazy. But still, it's just like, this looks like woods, and all of a sudden she just cuts through it and just steps through to wherever, to a different reality. Okay. So then we cut back to Billy and Jen talking, and Billy says, I'm aware Agatha Harkness couldn't be anything else than a covenless witch. And Agatha overhears this right behind him and goes, ouch. And then Agatha starts talking shit and goes, please, Jennifer, your last name is Kale, the worst of the vegetables. It tastes like eating a doily. But then we see they make it back to the beginning of the road because we see their shoes. And the witch's road is a circle. And Agatha's mad. That's it? Then how do we get off the road? And then Billy starts, maybe if you don't have any solutions, then shut your mouth, right? Like she gets mad at Billy. Billy's like, oh. And we hear Agatha say, then we go through again. And so she's about to start the road and the trials all over again. And Billy goes, no, screw the road, and puts back on his shoes and wakes up in a body bag in a morgue room. And we're like, what is this? Body bag, morgue room? This is crazy. Like, what is this? And we see Billy, you know, open up his body bag and then, like, sit up in this morgue room. And then Agatha, and then Jen's struggling in her body bag. And Agatha's like, hold on, don't steal her struggle from her. But we hear Agatha say, this is her basement, give or take, right? So she's like, why are we here? I don't know. But we are in Agatha's basement, and it kind of looks like her basement, but this is yet another trial. And the ceiling is a clock, but lighting is, it looks like glow lights. And Jen's like, glow lights? what are we supposed to be growing here? But we see them look in their little beds, and she goes, oh, we have our personal effects. So Agatha takes her little brooch and just pins it onto her, and she's like, ah, much better. Billy picks up his spell book, and it's like got all scribbles all over the pages, so maybe it's a fake spell book. And he throws it back in and goes, ah, it's useless. And the bed's all shut up. And you know, go back into the walls and pretty much, okay, so you don't get to take your personal objects if you don't want them and you think they're useless. And Agatha's like, well, the road agrees. But as this happens, the timer starts and the ceiling starts ticking as if it's a clock and a timer slowly ticking away. And we hear Jen say, I couldn't save Lilia. I didn't even try to help Alice, but I'm not gonna let you two idiots die. And then we find out that Agatha was the one that bound Jen 100 years ago. And Jen starts to do an unbinding ritual in saying, you hold nothing, you hold nothing, you hold nothing. And then we see her, you know, start to cry, and then her power starts to come back into her hands and she disappears. And Billy's like, where did she go? And Agatha's like, the road gave her what she wanted. And now she has her powers and she's gone off the road. And Agatha tells Billy, let's find your brother. Remember your last moment with your brother. And this is now going back to that good night, Tommy. And we hear Tommy's breathing. And then this is the scene that we saw in the trailer of Agatha grabbing Billy's head and the sparks going off in that little ticker room. And Billy sees a boy underwater. He's going to drown. And Billy goes, am I killing this boy so my brother can live? And then Billy disappears. So maybe Tommy slips into the body of a drowning boy, right? So very interesting that Billy slips into a body of a kid that just died in a car accident, and maybe Tommy slips into a body that was getting bullied and laughed at for drowning. You're right? So this kid got pushed into the pool and then is getting laughed at, and he's drowning, he's gonna die. So, I don't know, maybe this is where we'll pick up with a Tommy figure for the next show or next season, I don't know. But Billy disappears and Agatha goes, no, Billy, sometimes boys die, right? It's like super sad, but you're like, oh man, poor Nikki. And then we see Agatha open up her locket. That locket that we saw a piece of hair in way back in like episode 1 or 2, that Mother Maiden Crone locket that she's always wearing. And she takes out the hair and she plants just a single hair in the ground, and it's like the clock's at like 2 ticks, like that. She's like, hold on, hold on. And as Agatha's looking at the hair right before she plants it, she's like, out of death, life. And she's like, oh, she goes to plant the hair, and then the hair grows out of the ground like a little flower. And, you know, she's like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden dirt starts dumping on Agatha, right? As if she's still under the ground in the road type of thing. And she goes to run up the stairs and kicks open the basement door, and we see the green sky, and Rio is on top of Agatha's rooftop. So Agatha comes up out of this basement, so they're not on the road anymore. They're back in like this Westview reality, and we actually see, you know, the green sky and lightning, and it's like stormy happening, and the residents of Westview looks and goes, oh no, is this happening again? Right? Like, poor people. They're like, whoa, what is Agatha doing? Is this Wanda? What's happening here? And we hear Rio go, congratulations, my love. I'm sorry I don't have a ribbon for you to run through. And Agatha screams that great scene from the trailer that we were waiting for. I want my prize. And Rio says, so do I. He was supposed to surrender. And she goes, now you'll have to come with me. She goes, I'm thinking death by 1,000 cuts, and smashes the glass, and it goes all over Agatha, and you see Agatha get all these cuts all over her body. And I love the handwork of Kathryn Hahn. The whole season, she's been doing great things with her hands. So Agatha and Rio have a fight, and Agatha starts to say like this spell in Latin, and Rio goes, you're calling me evil? I'm the natural order of all things, baby, and you love me. Yes, we do, Aubrey, we love you. And then we get that moment where back in episode 7, Lilia said, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. And all of a sudden we hear her say, coward, and she goes, hit the deck. And Agatha jumps up out of the way. And Rio comes marching up on Agatha, and she looks so good. And like I was saying, different versions of the costume, right? Like there's the one where she looks like the tarot card with the knife and whatever's in her hand, I think the black heart, and she's got the death like skull on her face. And then she's got this look where it's just like cloaked and she's got still the crown but without the death on the face. And then she's got the green, you know, with the green torch that we see next episode, and like the original Green Witch look. She had that green mossy look that we saw throughout the episodes. She's just great. All the outfits, the costume department of the show really killed it, but Rio looks so good here. And just when we think like, oh, Rio's about to kill Agatha, Wiccan comes in, not Billy, Wiccan. We see full costumed up Wiccan come in with the blue glowing hands, with the outfit, with the red cloaked hood, with the blue tiara like his mama. He looks great. Shout out Joe Locke. He did a phenomenal job as Billy and Teen and William and Wiccan. And Agatha looks at him and goes, "You look good." And he goes, "You don't," because she's got cuts all over her face. But Billy knows exactly what he has to do, and he has to give Agatha some power. And he goes, "Don't take it all, Agatha," and starts to blast her, and she gets her purple back. But right as Billy's about to start, you know, his face is sucking out and we see his life, you know, starting to flee from his body, she lets him live. She pulls back the powers. And I'm like, oh, she really does care about Billy, because she didn't do that for Alice. She just wiped out fucking Alice. But hey, maybe Billy's a little bit more powerful, so she was able to get a lot of power from him. But then also, hey, alright, I got enough, and then leave him be. And then Rio comes marching back out of the house after Billy tossed her and goes, "Looks like you two are on the same page now. One of you has to come with me." So one of them dies and the other gets to go free. Rio tosses Billy aside, and then we get Agatha versus Rio, and then Billy comes back and it's Agatha versus Rio versus Billy, and it's kind of like a three-way fight. And Agatha says to Billy, "We can't fight death." And she says, "It should be me. You're not bad." And Billy says, "Neither are you." And she goes, "You're the only one that thinks that." And then Billy says to Rio, "Take me." Agatha stands up and goes, "Yeah, take him. I'm a covenless witch." And then as Rio is about to take Billy, Agatha's walking away, and Billy reads her mind and starts to talk to her telepathically and says, "Is this how Nikki died?" And Agatha turns around and runs up to Rio and kisses her. So we finally get that Agatha-Rio kiss that we wanted, and it's hot. It's a great scene, and she kisses her, and she kind of turns into smoke around Agatha, and all of a sudden Agatha dies. And her body falls, and we see her body go from just like falling on the ground to decaying, to the skull going into the earth, to the flowers growing up around it. And it's a great shot, but it's like, oh my God, is Agatha really just sacrificed herself for Billy? Like, I didn't think she had it in her, but hell yeah. Good for you, Agatha. Not just a villain through and through, right? But I loved how like it was like mushrooms and flowers, but they were kind of purple after they grew out of her like dead body. Billy picks up Agatha's brooch, and Death looks at him and says, "You may go." And just the look, right? Like this look of Death, Aubrey Plaza, right? Like this is yet another costume, right? This isn't the same one she was just wearing. And now she has that Death face with Aubrey's eyes. Oh my God, I need to see this character so much. Honestly, like if they casted Aubrey Plaza earlier and they were able to do the Infinity Saga like the comics, and have Thanos, you know, be doing all of this for Mistress Death, I think all of us would have understood. You know, we all would have been like, yeah, like we're following Rio to the end of time, right? Like, do it. And now I'm sitting here like, oh my God, Agatha's dead. Billy's let go by Death. This is only episode 8. What the hell's supposed to be next? And then Westview watches Billy as he walks out and puts his hood on and gets back in his car. And this just reminded me so much of Wanda putting on her hood in the finale of her show and walking away. I was like, oh my God, like mother like son. Billy goes home. We find out that he's been gone for 24 hours from his parents say this to him. So, you know, we've been on a 7-week journey of this show, and it's only been one 24-hour day for the witches of this coven and Billy. And then he goes up to his room after he showers and he towels off and he cleans up a bit, and he sees the Lorna Wu poster. And then he sees a figurine of the Wicked Witch of the West. And then we start to see Billy flash back and think about these moments from earlier in the season where he's like, take me to the witch's road, and she goes, it's not real. You're lying. Am I? And then he says, it's exactly how I pictured it. So and then he sees like the flowers on the road and like a picture of like the beach of Jen's trial, and sees all these things in his room, and all of that road was inspired by him and made by him. So all of the road was based off of Teen's imagination and bringing this to reality. And then we see the flashback of Agatha saying to Billy, man, you really are a Maximoff, or none of this would be this dramatic. And he goes, it was me. And we hear an Agatha chuckle. And in the closed caption it says, disembodied voice says, boo. And Billy screams and the credits roll on episode 8. So now we have episode 9, but like, I was like, this is the end? You're kidding me. But now let's get into episode 9, titled Mother Maiden Crone. So now at the end of episode 8, we're all thrown for a loop. Like, wait, what? So all of that road and all the trials and everything we just saw happened, and it wasn't real? And it was all just a ploy by Agatha? And it was Agatha all along pulling the strings and making this happen and getting bodies for Rio and like making up these trials? I don't understand, because it felt very real. And then even like, the people dying on the road, like maybe that was just them dying in general in Agatha's plan to get bodies for Rio, but like we never see them really working out this plan to get bodies for them on the road. So I don't know. I think Agatha just wanted power back, but still, it's wild, like we're like, wait a second. So all this was fake? So now this finale episode, episode 9, titled Maiden Mother Crone, which is the little brooch thing, was also Maiden Mother Crone with the 3 people on it. And this is what really happened, and what really happened to Nikki. And we open on Agatha in the woods running, and it is 1750, and she is pregnant, and she cuts a lemon and bites on it because she's in labor, and she's giving birth up against a tree, and she sees the original Green Witch. And I love how they did this, because they make her look like even younger, right? Like they didn't give her like the dark circles around her eyes or the dark cloak. This is still like, she's still the original Green Witch, where she's got the green cloak and this old 1750 kind of outfit. I just love that, even though the more she's gone, 300-400 years into the future now, she's gotten darker, and she's more looking like death rather than this young, sweet Green Witch. But Agatha sees her and goes, you do this and I'll hate you forever, right? So Agatha knew her at this young age, 200-300 years ago. And then she goes, I'll hate you forever. Please let him live, my love. And she goes, all I can offer is time. And Agatha's like, how much time? How much time? And Rio disappears, right? So and then the baby is born. He's got blue eyes and he's cute, and she's holding him and she's like, oh, I made from scratch, right? So Nicholas Scratch. So Agatha or the baby, or both, I guess, were supposed to die in childbirth, but Rio gave her time. I guess it was just the baby was supposed to die in childbirth. Well, I mean, she was giving birth alone in the middle of the woods. I mean, the success rate then is not necessarily high. She wasn't in a hospital. Like, I'm still kind of like, how the hell did that work? But, so Rio gave her time with her baby, and the baby's crying, and Agatha's walking through the woods, and she walks towards a camp. And then we get that shot in the trailer where we see rocks glowing yellow, and she steps over them as an encampment of people or witches or whoever they were let her into the camp with her child, and she uses this as a ploy to be allowed into the camp and kills all of them and takes all their power. Whoa. So even 1 minute after childbirth, Agatha was still a killer. So Agatha kills everyone with baby Nicholas in their hands. And 6 years later, so we cut to now 1756, and a young Nikki steals and brings witches into a house for mom to eat these witches or suck their powers out of them. So now she's got her 6-year-old son helping her draw witches to her and suck their powers out and kill them. I don't know. That is wild stuff. So we see her and Nikki now walking, and he's got like a goat. And I'm like, oh, is that Jake the goat? The one that Madison with 2 N's and 2 Y's or whatever, but not what you think. Is that the goat Jake? But either way, young Nicky and Agatha are super cute, but poor young Nicky, such a cute young lad. But his mom is a killer, and he goes, "Mama, why do you kill witches?" And she goes, "To survive, and you should get used to this if you're gonna be a witch, you know, like you should get used to this feeling," meaning, hey, if you're a witch, you kill people. I don't know, Agatha. I don't know if that's true, but Wanda wasn't killing people, and then all of a sudden she did, and then all of a sudden she was killing more people, you know what I mean? Like, that dark hole takes a hold of you and gets darkness. Oh, interesting little thought I'm having on the moment. Through this finale and through this 8 and 9, we still didn't see how Agatha ended up with the dark hold in her possession. Interesting little note. Maybe that will be something that comes back in a season 3 or season 2 of Agatha, or maybe a third show being a Wiccan show, or maybe Vision Quest, maybe a Scarlet Witch movie that would lead to that after that, you know, but we'll get into that afterwards. Nicky starts humming and says, "Walk, walk the winding road." Right, so he's starting to, you know, in 1756, Nicky and his mother start to get the base of what the Witch's Road song is. He asks her, "Use your purple, Mom," and she like blasts. And then she goes, "I can control minds, throw objects, but I can't heal you. I won't be able to save you from her." And he's like, "Who, Mom?" "Death, honey, death." You know, she doesn't say it, but, you know, we're all like, "Oh, Rio, fuck." And now we find out that they were the first ones to sing and make up the ballad of the Witch's Road. "Downtown the winding road, follow me, my friend, to glory at the end." And then we cut to Nicky now performing in a bar down the Witch's Road. Down, right? So now he's changed the winding road to now the Witch's Road lyrics, and he's singing at a bar, and we see him cough, and then he runs into a field, and Agatha runs off after him, and I'm like, uh-oh, is Rio about to take him right here? But no, they fake us out a little bit, and we're now cut back to Agatha found him, but it's nighttime, they're sitting around a fire, and Nicky says to his mother, "We can kill more witches tomorrow, Mom, I promise." And he coughs, and he's kind of sick, he's not looking well. And she starts singing to him the Witch's Road ballad as he starts to go to bed, and he finishes the lyric, "Mother Maiden Crone," which is the title of this episode, but also the thing on her necklace, right? And this is the last thing he says to her as he goes to sleep, and it's also one of the lines in the song and title of this episode. And Nicky wakes up to the Green Witch holding a green torch and goes, right? So she kind of calls him over, and he goes to stand, and she goes, and he goes back and kisses Mama goodbye first. Oh, it makes it so much even worse. And then Nicky, we see, walk away with death, right? But this is Nicky's soul, because Agatha wakes up with Nicky's dead body, you know, in her arms as she's sleeping. She's like, "Nicky, oh God, no, I want more time." And this is like, you know, the saddest we've seen Agatha. She's so heartbroken. She got her extra time, but it was only 6 years extra she got with her boy. And that was all Rio could do for her, is extend her time with her son, which is, I would have rather had 0 time than 6 years, because after 6 years, this is, the heartbreak is so real. So then Agatha buries her child, and she goes, "Bury my own heart with my child." And she starts to sing alone the Witch's Road ballad, and she's like, you know, but singing it very solemnly. And then a woman asks Agatha, "Ma'am, are you singing the Witch's Road?" She's like, "How dare you?" Right? Like Agatha didn't know she was there, and she's like, "Oh, please, I'm just trying to find the Witch's Road. Will you take me?" And so we find out that it was Agatha faking the Witch's Road. So all along, from 1756 all the way to now, every time there's been a Witch's Road and a coven has been singing the Witch's Road and gone down the Witch's Road and sung the ballad, the Witch's Road is fake. And Agatha would just do this to get to the point where the witches of the coven would blast her so she could take all of their powers and wipe them out. And we see her do this with at least 4 covens before the coven we saw in this episode. So she's been a part of at least at least 5 covens, and I think maybe 6 if we include the coven of her mother and those witches that she sucked the powers out of that we saw in WandaVision. So maybe she's taken the powers of 5 covens and now has been a part of a 6th coven, and it's taken her to the 6th coven to realize, like, hey, I can't just be killing and wiping out everyone. She definitely killed Alice, but she didn't have anything to do with Mrs. Davis, Mrs. Hart, and she didn't have anything to do with Lilia, right? Like, she didn't push Lilia, you know, Lilia decided to save everyone else. So I guess Lilia did kill all of the Salem 7 there, although we only saw 5 bodies hit the spikes. But I think they just, you know, didn't show all 7 hits, but they should have. But so each and every time she took a coven, she stole all their powers. But the last time, right, so she's never been, you know, normally she says the ritual and they sing the song, and then she goes and does that part where she's like, ah, this is pathetic, you're all pathetic witches, the door normally opens by now, you know, and like then they get mad and shoot their powers at her. Agatha warned Lilia not to do this, so they didn't do it, but she had done the same type of trick. Oh, the door normally opens by now, and then Sharon Davis goes, but what is that? And Agatha looked down like, wait a second, this is an actual door to an actual place. Like, we're actually going to go to the Witch's Road? I've been making this up for hundreds of years. What the fuck is this? But it was Billy. Billy had changed reality, because he can do that, much like his mother, and made the Witch's Road in his, you know, mind, right? And like what he built up the Witch's Road to be in his mind, and oh, it's exactly how I pictured it. Exactly how he pictured it, because this is all a construct that he's made, and they're just kind of going through the trials that he's conjured up, right? Like, that's crazy. So it was all Billy's doing, but we cut back to now the end of episode 8, where a disembodied voice says boo, and Billy screamed. So we cut back to that moment, and it was Agatha is now a ghost and tries to slap him, and she goes, I'm still learning the rules here. But Ghost Agatha kind of looks great. She's got white hair, the purple look still, and she's Catherine Hahn, she's Agatha, but she's, you know, a little bit see-through, a little bit transparent, and she's a little bit white-haired now. So now she's maybe as old as she might be, you know, because she's supposed to be almost 300, right, or something like that. Shout out to Catherine Hahn. She still looks great, and a great way for a character to come full circle and be good and sacrifice herself and die with the kiss of death, but still have an opportunity to now carry on and be a ghost in future projects. And Agatha says to Billy, oh, the ballad was a trick to lure gullible witches. The road wasn't real till you made it real. And Billy realizes, oh, if I made the road, that means I killed them. Are they ghosts too? And she goes, mm-mm. Well, and Agatha goes, well, I killed Alice. And Lilia, that was her choice. And he goes, Mrs. Davis. And she's like, who? And he's like, oh, she died trying to protect us, and she drank 2 portions of wine. And she goes, yes, the gardening lady. She's definitely, yeah, she got killed. That was your fault. Right? Like, so, right? So, technically, Lilia died on her own accord. Alice died because of Agatha. Mrs. Davis might have died because of Billy, but hey, she goes, you saved a life, and we see Jen crawl out of the ground. So you're like, okay, so Jen's alive, and then we see her use her powers and fly away from Westview. Where is Jen going? I don't know. I'm hoping Jen goes to something like I don't know, Midnight Suns. There is a comic book thread where Jennifer Kale is with Man-Thing. All I'm saying is Man-Thing gets some cheeks and it's Jennifer Kale. I'm into it. Like, I can watch that and be very happy. And we hear Agatha say to Billy, I was going to kill them all in my basement day 1. If you want to be a witch, you're going to have to get used to this feeling. The same thing that she said to Nicky when he was upset about him helping his mom kill other witches. Ooh. But then we see Billy go to the door in Agatha's basement, and he starts to conjure up that, like, you know, that pentagon-shaped door, and he starts to do a spell on top of it, and, you know, using his Wiccan magic. But as Billy's starting to do this, it's funny as hell, because Agatha's on the laundry machine in the basement, just kind of laying there, like, what are you doing, honey? And Agatha says, you have something of mine. I know you took it. Meaning the brooch we saw him pick up, and then he doesn't answer, and she goes, are you ignoring me? That looks like analog magic. And we see the pentagon pentagon door that led to the road, and he's casting a spell on it. So Billy is trying to banish Agatha, and she's like, no, you can't banish me, I'm a ghost. And he's trying to banish her from being able to be a ghost and really send her to death, you know, entirely. And Billy asks her, why can't you die? Why are you still here? And she says, because I can't face him. And she swipes at Billy and knocks the brooch out of his hand, right? So her ghostly form just made contact with his physical form, which is just like, wait a second, what happened there? And then Billy says, Nicholas, and she picks up the brooch and she like taps it back on her little chest and kind of completes her ghostly look now, because there was a little blank spot that needed her little brooch right here on the middle of her chest. And Billy says to Agatha, I'm sure he would forgive you for whatever you did. And Agatha goes, it's when you say things like that that you remind me of him. And then, you know, she picks up the brooch and puts it back on her. And he goes, wow, maybe a ghost suits you. And she goes, I'm a quick learner. And then he goes, spirit as my guide, we could make a good team, you and me. And she goes, I do tend to kill my covens. And he goes, so do I, right? So now they have more in common here, and he still kind of forgives her, still likes her. And then we see Billy magically carve the names into the floor. We see Sharon Davis, Alice Wu Gulliver, and Lilia Calderoo all preserved here in the stone in Agatha's basement. Or really, Ralph Boner's basement. But, you know, that's another story for another day. I'm pretty sure he was in here as a cameo at some point, too. But I had to watch 2 episodes and take notes last night. I didn't get done till almost midnight, and I started at 9. It took a while last night, folks, to get through both those episodes. But it was a fun time. I really did enjoy this series. But so Billy puts the names of the other ladies in the ground, and then goes, one door closes, another one opens, and a door flings open and white light shines through like they're about to walk into heaven or wherever the hell they're going. Agatha looks at Billy and says, let's go find Tommy. And they both walk through the door and set off, and the credits roll, and you're like, that's it? And I don't believe there was a post-credit scene in any of these episodes, which is the only problem I have with Jack Schaefer in this series. I was really, really hoping for a post-credit scene of this show in episode 9, you know, at the very end. And I was really hoping the post-credit scene would be something like, I don't know, Rio with the dead witches, or Rio, you know, just chilling in death and we see Mephisto, or, you know, a Mephisto-like cameo setting up Ironheart, or, you know, even like a White Vision, you know, stumbling back into Westview, or Wanda still being alive somehow, right? Like, I was really hoping we were going to get a little bit more of a tease for the future, but this is still a great tease because people from the comics know that Ghost Agatha is a teacher to Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. So if that's where we're leading and we get to get a actual live action version of Scarlet Witch in this ghost form of Agatha, teaching her how to be a better witch and stuff like that, I could think that would be awesome. And if they're changing it in live action to be, you know, the ghost of Agatha is the teacher of Billy and not Wanda, you know, that's fine too. You know, maybe she can be both. Maybe for the time being she can be Billy's teacher, and then when Wanda comes back to life, inevitably at some point, she can then go be her teacher then. That would still be really cool. But I do love the look of Agatha in the comics. I wish that the only thing I wish is that the ghost form of Agatha had her hair kind of swooped back like this comic book version, and maybe she had a black kitty. That would be funny. But I'm still super into this, and I'm thinking, you know, let's go find Tommy. So now Agatha, Ghost Agatha, and Billy, Kaplan / Maximoff / Wiccan, is now setting off through a door to go find his brother Tommy, which is against the rules for Rio. She did not want him to do this, so, but she did get Agatha's, you know, death, although she's a ghost and she's not really in death, so I don't know, maybe her and Rio still got beef. But they did get that kiss, which is awesome. That was a great moment. But comment below what was your thoughts on Agatha all along. What did you think of this 2-episode finale? I crunched this up into one video for you guys, so let me know down in the comment section below what was your favorite part of this series. And stay tuned for the final 2 weeks of The Penguin. We have another episode coming out this Sunday, So Monday there'll be another breakdown for that coming out, and then the following Monday for the finale of the Penguins. So 2 more weeks of that. So much fun. But these last 7 weeks of Agatha All Along have been so much fun. And if you've liked these videos, commented, watched them, you mean the world to me. You're so much more helpful to the channel than you think you could ever be. The best way to support the channel for me is liking these videos, watching them from beginning and end, commenting below if you got anything to talk about, or if you want to chat more about Agatha All Along and maybe the theories on where this could be going in the future. Comment those things down below, or you can send them to me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. My name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and sticking around. If you made it this far in the video, I truly love you and appreciate you. Share this video with a friend. Make sure you subscribe. Like 98% of you aren't. So please subscribe. Thank you so much, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. And if you've stayed tuned and you saw this bad boy in the background, there will be an unboxing video for that coming out Saturday. So stay tuned for that, y'all. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend. This is Halloween when this comes out, so happy Halloween. Shout out Agatha. Shout out nerdriot.shop for the great shirts. I love all the collection of the Marvel nerdy shirts that I have now because of this, and now they're great for videos and stuff like this too. And also I get tons of compliments on them. I'm out in public and people are like, hey, is that Agatha? That's fucking awesome. You know, and you're like, oh, a real fan, I love you. You know, and you're like, you just recognize real, you know what I'm saying? But thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.